I think there was like 5,000 obstacles before to get through before we could actually finish the record. We started in October of, I'm like, wait, what year was it?
2008? Is it then?
2008. We didn't finish till October 2009. So.
Yeah, it was only supposed to take 3 months or 2 months at the most, and so yeah, it was long and drawn out.
I can't even begin to figure out like where to even start naming obstacles. But I think it was meant to be. I think it was meant to be to put the record out, but there's definitely a lot of like struggle to get there.
There's a little bit of all of that, actually, because at one point they did want us to write more songs, and so we did that, and then they wanted us to hurry up and go out there and finish them.
Yeah, we had been writing for, we wrote from the time that our band began. We've been writing. We usually have a new song every couple months from one of the band members at least. So it's so it was a lot to sort through and come together and make into Flyleaf songs, you know. We never tried to be one thing or another. We just did what we did, and the music that came out was what it was. And it was hard for us to define what kind of music we made because it was more like, you know, life takes you through a range of ups and downs and whatever, and then the songs are going to reflect that, whatever you're going through at the time. So we have happy songs, we have angry songs, we have sad songs, we have, you know, victorious songs and urgent songs, and it just depends on whatever the situation is. That's the sound that's going to come out, and so we weren't setting out to be one thing, but yeah, I think that on the label side, the label might want us to put out a pop hit. But for us, we're just doing what we're doing, and if they find a pop hit in there, that was an accident on our end. But it was honest, you know. I just think that we're young.
Growing up in Texas.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Yeah, us not caring what people think as much as and just being ourselves, like Jared said. I think that's comes from growing up in Texas. Just in the South, it's kind of the mentality they have. But also we didn't have a formula for this. We didn't have anybody to look to say this is how it needs to be done. You know, it was like we were just doing what we love to do, and then all this stuff happens. I think from like the very first practice, there was something really magical about the combination of the people and the music and the instruments and everything, the hearts of the members of the band. I think from the very first practice, there was something magical that made me say, well, if certain factors come together, this is going to be a really amazing thing. Even if it was just amazing to us, it was still amazing.
Well, you know, now that we've had some success and we're a lot older, we have bills, and so I mean that kind of comes into it now too. That you know, we just can't do whatever we want. You know, have a family to take care of now.
Yeah, a lot of us are married.
Yeah,
and you have to think about that. When we first started, it was you know, Jared was 17.
I was living with my parents, and yeah.
And we didn't have anything to lose really to just throw our whole lives into it. And if everything fell apart, it would have been a really cool experience anyway, you know. I remember whenever we drove to New York to do the showcase, the first showcase we did, they were like, oh, thanks for coming, you know, and sent us home, and we were like, well, that was still cool, you know. But then we got stopped on the way home, and they said, no, come back and do another showcase. And then we ended up all this stuff happening. But at that point, it was like, we lived on, like all 5 of us lived on $40,000 for 2 years. We got $50 a week for gas and food. It was pretty amazing that it lasted that long. But when we were younger, that was okay. And it's still, I think that, you know, the whole time we just felt like if we're meant to do this, it'll fall in place.
Yeah.
And if we're not, then we're not going to struggle to try to make it work. I think that this album, Memento Mori, was much more us than the Flyleaf self-titled debut album. It was much more of us in the driver's seat with every detail of it. And the other one was more like we're listening to a lot of people that, you know, are paid to give their opinion because they have a lot of success under their belt or whatever. So we're just learning a lot. And then after touring the whole world a few times and with bands like Korn and Slipknot and Deftones and really successful artists, I think that gave us, and selling 1 million records, and I think that gave the record label a little bit more respect for us, and what we felt like was cool. So they gave us a lot more freedom to put our own fingerprint on it.
I don't think I have anything.
I really like the record, which is strange, I think, to say about your own record, but I'm really happy with it. I think it's a CD that I would buy myself and listen to, and I might not say that about, you know, I might not have said that, like, I don't know. It's just, I think the first record is really good for what it was and for that season of our lives, and I think it's still relevant in a lot of ways for things that we go through, but this one is much more of where we're at now. And yeah, I don't think that I probably wouldn't change anything. Well, whether we like it or not, we have influence because of what we do. And as honest as we want to be, as we try to be, there are songs that that we've maybe written in our own room that had no resolution, and that maybe would have the potential to influence people in a negative way, and so they stay in our room and they stay personal songs for us. That is an important thing to me because I have a little sister, and I was a suicidal 16-year-old at one point, who was held in a depression and a negative spot by the music I was listening to, which I felt like I related to, and that was therapeutic in a way to say I'm not the only one who feels this way. But then at the end there was no resolution to pull you out and to say it's going to be okay and you can get better. I mean, my favorite band was Nirvana, and the end was suicide. That was the resolution for that music, and a lot of times, you look up at a rock star and say, well, you feel that way, but then look at your life. It's just so glamorous and you've made such success. But then a lot of rock stars are so open with their lives and their struggles and their, abusing themselves in whatever way. And it's not glamorous and it is depressing and it does keep you there. So I recognize that whether we like it or not, because of the position we're in, we're influencing. And I do take that seriously. And it is a weight that we have to, in the end, give to God, because we're not God, to say, I have this strong desire when I see kids in the audience to hug them all and take them home with me and say it's going to be okay. But when we leave the show, we can talk to people a little bit and read emails and write back as here and there, but in the end, it's really, we just have to trust God. If He pulled us through it, then He can pull them, and He loves them more than we do. Even though we feel like our heart's breaking over things. Does that make sense? Like in Again, it says, in our single Again off of Memento Mori, it says, here you are down on your knees again, trying to find air to breathe again. Only surrender will help you now. And it's that feeling of, I want to carry the whole world on my shoulders because I care about it. But in the end, I have to surrender and trust that God's God and I'm not. And that He's good and it's going to work out, We didn't start our music we didn't write music for Christians. We didn't think about, you know, we just wanted to be honest. And our music is for everybody, not just, I mean, if it talks to Christians, then it's great, you know, but it's not for them specifically. It's just, it is what it is. It's honest, and it's from our heart. And because, you know, our faith has it to do with everything in our life, it's going to come out. And if we want to be honest, and we went against what we said from the beginning, that this was a gift from God, all of this, we'd be liars. We wouldn't be honest anymore. So to kind of reject that foundation that our band started on, it would change everything about who we are and how our music comes out and how our dynamic is. And I think there was a show we had one time in Columbus, Ohio, where somebody had, you know, we had been arguing in the band, you know, about something. I don't even remember what it was, but somebody said, after we had finished the set, before we did an encore at the time, he said, "We don't do this for God, we do this for ourselves." And I was like, well, we're done. And I remember going up on stage, and I was like, this is the last time I'm going to do this. And I gave this speech about, somebody just said the worst insult I could ever hear, I've ever heard about what we do in this band, and it was, we don't do this for God, we do this for ourselves. And I want you to know, the truth is, this is where we came from. This is how we got here. And that's it. And if we never play a show again, you know, then that's okay with me. And then I remember we all went to bed that night going, what are we going to do when we get home? We put all our whole lives in this band. And then the next day we had a meeting, and we were like talking, and we were like, everybody had the same heart about it. If this isn't for God, none of us want to do it. And so once we realized that, we're like, okay, well, then we can keep going. So here we are. It's something, I don't know. I think we'll probably master it once we're dead, you know. I think it's something we're always learning. I think it's also helpful for us to grow as people, you know. I think that's the most important thing, to become, I think, who we're meant to be as humans, you know. It's to get along with each other and have compassion for one another and realize we're all different and appreciate the differences in each other, and figure out how to work together to make whatever. Like, Flyleaf music wouldn't be what it was if Jared wasn't influenced by music that I don't listen to. And the same with Samir, Pat, and James. They all listen to different music, and Flyleaf is what it is because of that. And I think that's the dynamic that we have just in our personal lives. Do your best to be as simple as you can in the way you live, you know? Live simply. Don't be high maintenance. That's not going to work, you know? Be flexible with, you know, and don't have high expectations of, you know, run realistic expectations of people being one way or another. I think that if you're also to be as encouraging as you can with how you are towards people, towards the guys, because guys are really, I think, fueled by by that encouragement, and they're really broken down by discouragement, and that's not going to work either. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't even know where to start, you know. Just like, I don't know where to start with the answer either. There's a million instances where I've done it wrong. Mm-hmm. I've definitely learned a lot about myself and about people in general. I don't know. I'm sorry. What do you think?
Oh, well, my wife travels with us now, so I don't know.
Get married?
Yeah, get married. It'll help you.
Help you to be less selfish, that's for sure, and understand. I don't know. I think it makes it more what it's supposed to be. You know, I think the more, I don't know, like as far as my situation with my husband goes, I feel a lot more balanced, and he makes decisions because he's balanced and smart and wise, and I make decisions because I'm angry or something like that, you know. So So it's way better, I think, for him to be around in my case. As far as the way the decisions get made, they're in a lot more peaceful way. I don't know. Jared would probably tell you that too. I think the band likes me more than all that I'm married.
We like Josh. I think the best thing about doing it in store and getting to meet the fans, it's a lot of times a lot of fans are really appreciative and have come through a lot of things, and that's I don't know, really encouraging to hear.
Yeah.
I think that's the best thing.
It's really neat when they get the songs because it makes us feel less alone, even though it helps them, personally, like for us to hear somebody really got it, and was helped by it. That's, to me, there's nothing better to hear, just that they understood where we were coming from. We don't feel so alone, Well, I think the best thing that a fan's ever done was probably Brittany from Flyleaf Online. She made these scrapbooks. She has this scrapbook thing that she does where, like, one day I think I was ready to quit, just go home because it was just too much stress or whatever, and even just living with people is hard, but then everything else on top of it. And she showed up to the show, and she had this scrapbook of all these letters from all these fans who said how the music had helped them, and helped them through abuse and their parents' divorce and drug addiction and alcoholism and just one thing after another, and it helped them to find God. And I just cried, like, as I was reading it. I just cried, and I was like, it's making a difference. So this is worth anything, it's worth it if we're making a difference, because we don't always get to see that. That was probably the coolest thing fans ever done.
I haven't heard of anything about Rock on the Range yet, but we're going to the UK in March, I believe, and then we'll be headlining after that in the States. And last year I was pumped up to see Slipknot. That was really cool. Yeah, we got to tour with a bunch of those bands and got to see people we haven't seen in a long time, so that was cool.
Yeah, it was really neat to go back and see them after all those years. Like, I think Saliva played.
Yeah, that was one of the first tours we did.
We ever been on, so it was really neat to see him, see Josie and his wife, and the band was really neat.
Hey, I'm Jared.
And I'm Lacey.
And we're in Flyleaf.
And you're watching Artisan News Service.